Hello again, it is Drumboy Reads Slow with another long read through review of another absolute title. This one's gonna cap off the series that I've been doing. I read as fast as I could, and I do apologize as my finger disappears. I hope I can get this out in editing. I'm not really sure. I did an update on my camera, and all of a sudden the light in this room is a little bit overbearing. I'm gonna see if I can do something about that with the first cut. But anyhow, yeah, we have our final title in the Absolute series. This would be Absolute Superman. I got an array of covers that you can barely make out on the camera. Here's another couple of those. You know what? Honestly, I got a lot of variants, but some of these covers just popped. And the inner covers, the cover A's, I thought the cover A's were particularly awesome for this series. I'm not sure what it tapped into, but I really like this series, and I'm going to explain why after I deal with the light a little bit. All right, that's a little better. All right, well, anyway, I'll put a timestamp so we can help our viewers who don't really care about what I'm about to say next to get to the actual description and some of the artwork and all that good stuff about this title. But I did want to say I do apologize about the lack of accountability on my part of getting these reviews out a little bit faster and keeping up with my random made up schedule. You know what? I have been slacking. I've been slacking really hard. In life, sometimes you gotta just take a second and reflect on what's going on up here, and here and all that good stuff. And I just, I think I just hit a depressive slide. I'm not afraid to admit that, for me, the ups and downs are pretty rough. And I just got to a point where I just, take it like this, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a healthy thing, but I just had a moment, a life moment where I just saw, perfectly where I was supposed to be standing. And it just meant, it was just another, moment in life. Imagine, if you will, you take a stone and you throw it in the direction you think you're supposed to go, and you say, I'm gonna keep walking until I find that stone again, and then when I do, I'll be, right where I'm supposed to be. And you get there, you find your stone, and like magic. You've traveled that distance, and you just, sometimes you just have that moment again where it's just like, you think you have everything, or everything you're supposed to have found, tracing your way in the direction you thought you were supposed to go, just to arrive there and realize, you still haven't found it. And I think adult life, a big part of adult life is in those moments. That was a really bad metaphor, by the way, but it's the best I could do. But, in those moments, I think adult life for all of us is, it's why sometimes it's hard to, realize and see that in yourself and say, I don't know if I got what it takes to, pick myself up again and start moving again. I thought I was home. So it was just it was a rough couple of weeks for me, and my content definitely sagged as a result. And I want to say, like, this is the thing in life, is we as men are supposed to we got to carry stuff. I know all my audience is pretty much men, so we're having a private, a moment here, but like, we're expected to carry everything sometimes, and we don't always know when it's time to like stop and just, but it's okay. It's okay to stop for a second, catch your breath. It's okay, you slammed your finger in the door and hid that pain as many times as you have in life, you can go ahead and feel a little bit of like the stuff that really hurts. That's fine. All right. But anyway, you know what? When it comes to who we are and what we like, let me tell you, if you got something like I got something here and it makes you happy, just do it. Just do what you want. Don't worry about anything outside of that bubble that you give yourself, because finding that little piece of happiness out of a world like this makes you like a genius. It makes you like a genius in the long run. So anyway, geniuses, my fellow geniuses, I'm gonna implore you, if you have not yet, because you thought it was a lame gimmick, you thought the Absolute Universe was stupid, you read the first couple of issues, it didn't do anything for you, I'm gonna implore you that Absolute Superman, I'm in a bit of a conundrum here on the subject, because I brought up in one of my previous Absolute titles, it was either the it could have been the Martian Manhunter, but it might have been the likely Wonder Woman or the Batman, Absolute Batman. It was this idea that I really didn't know how to rank the titles I had read up to that point, because Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman in particular, were just so neck and neck. And now I got a third one in that running. And Absolute Flash isn't that far behind, to be honest. It's actually got some legs. I think as a whole, I'm looking at the Absolute Universe as a massive, not just, the sales, we know about that. If you're in on comics, you know that, like, this is what's selling right now. And I just, I kind of came into, Absolute Superman with kind of low expectations based on, to be honest, it just wasn't the one getting talked about. And maybe that's just, Superman, yeah, okay. He kind of is like, the generic hero, like how do you make a square? You draw Superman, And I've learned as I've gotten older to appreciate Clark Kent so much more than I did as a kid. As a kid, I wanted Doomsday to win. I want Batman to kick his ass, which I think is stupid now. I actually don't really, find myself retracing my steps back to Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, because, to be honest with you, it's kind of stupid that, Batman has become like this, immortal figure. I mean, this is our immortal figure. This is him. I appreciate Superman, but I wasn't about to just start picking up the order, even though I've been hearing some good things, I wasn't about to start picking up any of those titles. But because this was part of the Absolute Universe, I was going to grab it, I was going to document it, and I was probably going to drop it at some point. I can't do that because I actually really enjoyed it. So let's get into what makes Absolute Superman great. So mainly, we're going to see these three names. Jason Aaron being the guy who was doing TMNT for the first 12 issues, which I really enjoyed. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the perfect concept, but it was very good. It was very heartfelt. And that's exactly what's going on here with Absolute Superman again. So Jason Aaron has a very good knack, I'm finding, for coming at you with something that you already know, but giving it, its own heartfelt feeling, his own little touch. And it's not like a self-injection. His style is injected, but on two titles now in particular that he's done an outstanding job getting me right here. I mean, this felt awesome, but this was absolutely not your typical Superman. In so many ways, it's beautiful. I think Jason Aaron might have, actually pulled off the originality concept while preserving the original character. Possibly the best of all three of my top titles, the Holy Trinity. We also had I'm forgetting his first name, but his last name Sandoval as the primary artist. There is another guy whose name I absolutely cannot say, but you know what? The art is extremely consistent on this title. Something I was very impressed by. Let's see. Rafa Sandoval. So I do apologize if I offend you, Mr. Sandoval. I'm actually not familiar with your work, but you are God. I mean, this was great. This was definitely that title with like that blockbustery artwork feel, you know, whereas Wonder Woman had kind of a almost cartoonish or animated look to it, a little bit grittier, and well, Absolute Batman is just wild with the art, but I love it. Absolute Flash was more the like the anime, quasi-anime style, but with Absolute Superman, it's definitely like that like they're trying to make it look almost movie-esque. It's cool. I like it. I like that effect. Was it the best art choice? No, I don't think so. But now I can't change it. It's endeared itself to me. But I almost think something actually like akin to Hayden Sherman's work, I believe, on Wonder Woman would have worked better for Superman here. But that's just my opinion. I think actually with the tech aspect and how big Brainiac's really cool, by the way, in this. I actually really like that aspect. The tech and the coloring is kind of what like made me think like, okay, well, actually maybe this was the best style. And so I think me personally, my preference going in, like, this isn't my personal favorite type of style, but now I see why it's effective. So this team absolutely killed it. The coloring, I had it open, and I did not mention a name. And then the secondary, Ulysses Areola. Okay, that's cool. On issue 1, they have the first name. Thank God. All right. So I don't want to ruin anything, but you're getting a very, very typical Superman type of, like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna let's take a second here, because I gotta form some thoughts. I want to do kind of like a synopsis on like the character that is Superman, because it really is just like all about him, and so let's take a pause. Just getting into some details about the world. Okay, so obviously this isn't your typical Superman suit, but it is. Glowing eye is significant. We have a different set of powers, while they're relatively pretty close. We also have, as you can see, these are called like Peacemaker soldiers, and they belong to Lazarus Corp, which is kind of like the Lex Luthor, LexCorp thing of this title. If you know anything about Batman, Lazarus Pit. So we got kind of some reuse of some familiar characters done as different ways. The general tone of things is similar, but that's how the picture is painted on Earth, as he is on Earth. But what we also have in this particular title is a picture of Krypton, a much clearer picture of Krypton from the get-go, as Kal, he doesn't want to be called Superman. It's more of a nickname, a very very persistent nickname that just follows him everywhere he goes on his Earth life. But he also had a life on Krypton that he actually remembers, and it is cited. And to be honest with you, a very beautiful artistic touch was we meet his parents, Jor-El and Lara-El, and they are like the picture perfect embodiment of what we've come to know Clark Kent and Lois Lane to look like. And so it's like this symbolic torch passing. But anyway, so in this, we don't refer to him as Superman if we want to be respectful to our guy. We want to call him Kal-El, because that's how everyone addresses him. Lois Lane is a absolute baddie that is absolutely a baddie. Like she starts out with Lazarus Corp. She's been tracking Superman, or the Superman, who is kind of like this force of nature. It's a very typical, introduction to him. But as the story progresses, you find out he's kind of just been living in the shadows as like this secret entity, trying to, not disrupt life, but also put himself in places where people needed him, and then, like a force of nature, like he just has just happened to fix things. And that didn't go unnoticed for a very long time. Not with Lazarus Corp. Their whole Lazarus is life mantra being a wild contradiction to the reality of both the United States, I believe the world. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how far. This was a fast read for me, but I can see there's some continued world building that will happen progressively in the issues, as it should. You can't just always set the table right away. Sometimes you just gotta have some action scenes. Sometimes you just gotta put, especially in a Superman comic, you gotta put him over. You gotta put him over big. And that's kind of one of the things going on here, is he really is a force of nature. It's not so much, is anyone gonna present a challenge, because this book so far, and it's only 13 issues in, but so far, without ruining anything, because it's all, character development and, bonding with the reader, kind of the power scaling game and all that, the general tone is, we have a much more quiet, less confident version of Superman, a much more lost soul, kind of like a drifting teenager kind of mindset. And he almost looks vulnerable. I said in Batman's Absolute Batman that we got a vulnerable Batman. Well, we got a vulnerable Kal-El here. We have a absolutely he's totally untested so far, though. I mean, you think for a second, oh, this danger, or this is, oh, they got him, and then it's just like he barely twitches, and like, like the guy is like, how did you do that, and like they can't get a measure on his power. So now we have this conflicted character who can't be really touched at this point, and it's not so much a question of, like, who's gonna get him. Is he gonna accidentally, destroy the world? Is actually one of the big dynamics of this. He's so overpowered, and it's great. Despite a lot of rage in this character too, there's a lot of rage. The hero factor, the sense of to do right, just like in Wonder Woman, it's just so, when he does the right thing, when he wants to do something bad, and it's just like, nope, you get a sense of like what comics are supposed to like do, is to inspire you to be able to push through, intense, tormentful rage, or or sadness or, you know, vengefulness, and just be the bigger man. And page in and page out, this comic delivers on the art, on the storytelling, even if it's a little bit outlandish, just like TMNT was. It's Superman. You could be a lot worse off. I can't say it's a perfect comic, but it's definitely worth your time. I don't know what to say other than, like, I'm actually glad there's a Superman title that I'm interested in collecting. In some ways, I want to say, like, Superman Beyond, you know what I mean? He's a really cool character. He's a really cool version of Kal-El, and I actually even like the whole accompaniment. He's got like a computer soul. He's got this computer, and it's kind of reminding me of that Battle Beast review I was doing, and there was a similar thing there where, you know, Battle Beast's only companionship was a computer that wanted to kill him. But in this case, Soul is there to protect Superman at all costs. He's kind of like the last extension of his parents' love. Whatever. But it's even in that, you know, there's like a high point where it's like, yeah, I mean, this is just one of those comics. It's just all about that warm feeling in the heart and pumping your fist when Superman does something good that, you know, busts through a mech or something, and it's just like, yep, you're not messing with Superman. Nope. So anyway, I mean, I basically described, you know, so many other Superman comics in the past. If that's your feel good, you're gonna get it in this. And if you liked stuff where they kind of took an existing property and gave it a spin, like Batman Beyond did, and you connected with it, you were like, eventually Terry won your respect over time. Well, give this absolute version of Superman a run. If you didn't like this, tell me why in the comments. I'd love to hear, you know, some ideas on, like, the negativity behind it. Anything that I had negative to say about this or wasn't feeling, I think pretty much once the Brainiac issue, I think it was issue 7 was just outstanding. I've never really, I've seen this premise before, but I've never seen it executed so well, and that's coming off the heels of reading Void Rivals up to its current issue. And so the whole Suxor, that's such a stupid name, but Suxor, the boar-like alien creature that can multiply himself, was kind of like a similar storyline going on, and I thought that was really cool, and this kind of was done a little bit more tastefully. It was better. So yeah, I'm not 100% sold on every villain so far, but this has kind of been a slow burn building up, and I really hope Jason Aaron stays on the title. Let's just quickly rank these absolute titles. I might have to call it a 3-way tie with Absolute Flash in 4th. But if I'm gonna go on, like, heart and everything, I'm gonna give. Okay. I mean, God, I want to show the art, but I don't want to have DC up. You know what I mean? Superman, honestly, could either be 2 or 3. I think. I don't think it's quite the best. I think Batman takes that, but depending on what you're looking for, if you are looking to just give one of these titles a shot and buy, you know, trade paperbacks and just do it in a quick read because you're curious now, Superman could be one of your top 2 easily. Ranking them just for fun, let's just do Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, amazing. That's a great title to just read month to month, and you can skip an issue and you won't miss anything. And then Absolute Flash, as long as you read it in a flash from beginning to end, without breaking it up too much, you should be good with that one. Absolute Martian Manhunter was, in my mind, just an absolutely garbage comic. I think they tried for something. I can definitely appreciate the artwork. I don't think it was not for me. That was not a comic book. That was a art contest or something. And then I really just could not get into Green Lantern, Absolute Green Lantern. So that I really didn't give it a proper chance. But I'm willing to bet it's probably a 5 on the list, and I would probably rank Martian and Manhunter lower than that, to be honest. So that's how the Absolute universe is broken down for me. I have 4 titles with legs on them, and I want to see more Absolute titles come as a result of this. The experiment was a success in my mind, and yeah, let me know in the comments. I'll do a little video kind of showing what I got, but I got some more titles coming up here, and I'm kind of curious if you guys are fixing to hear some sooner than others. So I do have the current JSA run. I do have the current Justice League Unlimited run all the way through. I did not get any of the titles that they crossed over with, though. I do apologize. I have Redcoat, Rook Exodus, and the Geiger, all from the Unnamed Universe. Plus, I have a few others from the Ghost Machine, but I didn't really continue to build on them. I don't know if I'm gonna live to regret that. But yeah, I wanted to kind of do something on that. I also got all the Space Ghost titles I'm supposed to up to the current issue now, so Volume 1 and as far as we are in Volume 2, so I would like to do a read-through of that sooner than later. I got Thundercats Lost, so that's about, about 10 titles? Batman Dark Patterns I gotta get into. I got a whole bunch of Conan that I still got some holes in that, so I got to fill that in. But I feel like I could just pick up any issue and just have a good experience with that one. I can't seem to keep my hands off them lately. The But anyway, so there's a bunch of titles that I have compiled. Oh, Batgirl too. I got Batgirl as well. So anyway, I got a bunch of these titles compiled up, and I do need to get them read at some point. So what do you feel like hearing what Drum Boy has to say? Which one sounds appealing to you? Is there a few in there? I do have some newer titles that are closer to issue 1 that I'm trying to get into a weekly thing, but I've been like I said, a little bit burdened lately, so I haven't gotten that started. But I'm finding my way closer and closer and closer to what I really, really appreciate in comics. And don't get me wrong, I like something that's out of the blue, out of left field every now and then. But at the core of it, there is something I am looking for, and I get closer to that every single time I open up a book and I finally actually read it. So don't just be a collector. Be a reader. Comics are good. No matter what they're saying on the other channels, there are some good comics, and you watch those channels and find the ones that you do like, get them, because you will not be disappointed. Let me just tell you one more thing. I started watching that Dairy Show on HBO, and I know a lot of people like it. I can just see with my eyes, maybe outside of Dune. When's the last adaptation that really moved you? These don't need to be adapted. They're perfect as they are. Sit down, read a comic, open one up. This is for the noobs. This is for the curious people who are somehow watching this video still. Open up a comic and see how good it is inside there. I promise you, you ain't getting it on TV and you ain't getting it in your movies. It's all right here. All right. This is Drum Boy. Read slow. We got Absolute Universe temporarily out of the way. 12 issues from now, we'll review again. if it gets that far. And you know, we'll review any new titles at that time as well. But yeah, we're gonna be moving on. I got some music reviews coming up too. I've been slacking on those. I've also been slacking on the drums. Just hasn't been a lot of time. Been doing some pivoting for work. So yeah, I might get back into that. I'm not sure. I just, you know, time wise, and putting up videos, and then you know, going into like diagrams and stuff to try and help new drummers understand little sciences that you know can help them do certain things. It's a lot of editing. It's so much more editing than I realized. But anyhow, this has been Drum Boy Reads Slow, and we are gonna be on these comics like you wouldn't believe. So let's have a great rest of the Thanksgiving weekend, and I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and thanks for watching.